Welcome back, friends. Day 24, and we're jumping into the Gospel of John right at the beginning, the very beginning of it. Oh, John's poetry and John's philosophy woven together. Oh, this is going to be good. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify concerning that light, so that through him all might believe. He himself was not the light. He only came as a witness to the light. The true light that gives light to everyone was coming into the world. He was in the world, and though the world was made through him, the world did not recognize him. He came to that which was his own, but his own did not receive him. Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believe in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. Children born not of natural descent, nor of human decisions or a husband's will, but born of God. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and the only Son who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. Our devotion today comes from Bruce Johnson. After a long life of walking with Jesus, what stories would you have to tell? The Apostle John was the youngest of the disciples, a teenager in the gospel accounts. Jesus called John and his brother James sons of thunder after they asked Jesus to call down fire on Samaritans who were not responsive to Jesus' message. Seems like early on they were missing the point a bit. Near the end of his days, John was the last surviving apostle. Reflecting on his time with Jesus, in the prompting of the Holy Spirit, John writes his gospel as an older, more seasoned, and certainly more humble man. Filling in the gaps and telling some additional stories, John reminds us that if all the stories of Jesus were told, even the whole world would not have the room for the books that would be written. So the stories that were left for us must have treasured them, or treasures in them. Colossians 1:16 and 17 says, all things were created by him and for him, and he holds all things together. I think John is doing his best to give us an idea of the majesty, power, and absolute bigness of Jesus. Who he really is in the grand scheme of things is truly awesome. And yet, John chooses to become flesh and dwell among us. Eugene Peterson, paraphrase out of the Message Bible, says that the Word became flesh and moved into the neighborhood. That's a great way to say it. Jesus moved right into the neighborhood to be with us as us. The same Jesus that created everything chose to enter the world and live a perfect life so we would not have to. He did not keep his distance, but moved right into the middle of our messy lives and meets us right there. As you reflect on Christ this Lenten season, what are your Jesus stories? How has he transformed you as you have journeyed with him? Well, that's a great story. Those are great questions. How has Jesus lived among you? What stories are you going to tell? You probably have some already, but here's the thing I'm excited about. What are the stories that are going to be written in the next 20 years in the digital space? Because as I look around in Twitch and other places, the people of God are pitching their tent. They're moving into the neighborhood. They're moving in. They're moving into being Twitch streamers and loving people and bringing the light wherever they go. The light that gives light to everyone is coming into the world, and it's coming into the digital world. It's coming into all kinds of platforms. Isn't that awesome? What stories are you seeing already? What stories do you have to tell? Make a record of them. Make a record of them so that 20 years from now, when people ask, hey, you were there. What was it like in those early days? What was it like after the COVID when people were doing ministry online? What was it like? You were there. You'll be able to tell them, this is what I saw the Spirit of God do. This is what I saw the love of Jesus do. In a world filled with darkness that needed light, it was there. And the darkness could not overcome it.